And it actually dovetails perfectly into my next question for Mark, and it's this convergence of data. You know, we heard today how there's data, it's somewhat locked in some places, some of it's trapped in a file, and you know, we want to remain file friendly while moving towards a data-centric world. What's your view on that particularly? But then I'd also be curious, what do you see that doing for automation and other forms of AI?
Interesting topic, because I think, at least for a company like Burns McDonnell, we always have to take a step back and think, do we automate everything that we do? You know, I think it's a scary subject, because going back to the workforce, if you're automating everything, any of the newer employees, are they actually learning what they're doing? Are you solely depending on technology to accomplish your job? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of scary. You know, anytime we talk about AI, I know us as a company, so events like these are fantastic, because I get to sit down with a lot of our competitors, and we really have conversations about what they're doing, what we're doing, because a lot of things that are happening right now, it's not, I mean, these aren't trade secrets. You know, things that we're doing internally, all of our other competitors are doing it as well. Mm-hmm. So a good example is AI governance or data governance. I mean, we have to rewrite our policies of how we're doing things, because the way we're executing work, as Monica was mentioning, is completely different than how we were doing it years ago. So it's really, I think we're at a reflection point of how we're executing work and how we're making sure we're mitigating liability internally, but then also delivering the best product for our clients. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you guys are doing that with Bentley, and that's something that we take very seriously with Burns McDonnell.
Yeah, and just to build on that, I think my experience, you know, working for and with electric utilities, there's a nervousness when you talk about AI and machine learning. You know, when you're operating critical national infrastructure, or we talk about, again, one of the key points from this morning around how infrastructure, improves the quality of life. If you've experienced an unplanned outage and you haven't got access to electricity, you suddenly realize how much we rely on it. So there is a genuine kind of nervousness, and that's where we need to be, really be trusted become a trusted partner for our users, to really handhold them through this process and get them to see the real benefits. I mean, you kind of called some of them out earlier, Monica. To take that the mundane work away and put those skilled engineers on really value-adding work.
Yeah, and I think this is actually, there's another form of convergence that's happening specifically within electric utilities. So much of the growth of demand and capacity and reliability is driven by the need to feed energy into AI data centers around the globe. There's I want to say an arms race, but there is a race to host these capabilities in different geographies, and we're not talking about delivering a traditional level of energy to a data center pedestal where the power goes in. We're talking about delivering transmission level energy supply to a data center, and that is something that is new. It's a new form of challenge. Now we're hearing stories of data center developers buying manufacturing slots for transformers so that they can cut in line for the interconnection queue. So it's incumbent to enable this AI future, this automation-powered, these digital twin-powered futures by continuing to supply the required energy. So it's a symbiotic relationship between what's driving the demand and how the demand is being responded to. Yeah, absolutely.
I was just going to say, I think that most of the companies that I talk to are taking a very cautious approach to all of this, because they're not sure about their data governance. They're not sure that they want to trust anything to a HAL-like, artificial intelligence. That doesn't exist, but that's what people are afraid of. And I think that this cautious approach is exactly the right way to go until you've proven it out that it does what you want and it doesn't do more than you want, and that the human being is still at the controls, right? So the technology that we've seen here today is assistive, right? The AI answers questions. We had another finalist presentation yesterday where they were using AI as part of their feasibility study so that someone could ask a question, how did we do this in the past? Or is this a reasonable location, or does this need to be north-facing? So mundane kinds of questions that you can quickly search through a database and find the answer to. That's what the AI was doing. But then the human being was making the actual decisions. So the idea that we're automating things like drawing generation, one could question the value of drawing generation as a human activity. It probably isn't the most valuable use of that person's time, right? So I think that we're applying these, we're cautious in general as an industry in applying these technologies, but we are using them to figure out what their boundaries are, I guess is the best way to say it. Sorry, Kevin.
Yeah, and just to build on that, I mean, for me, when the OpenSite Plus
Yeah.
announcement
Yeah.
this morning,
Yeah.
that blew my mind in terms of the use cases, and I think you're absolutely right that we know that we've got to accelerate the energy transition, and we know we've got a skill shortage. So we've got to do so much more with less going forward. So there's absolutely a place for AI. We've just got to make people comfortable with
Right.
it and have the right the right processes in place,
Yeah.
that we've got a human being, as you say, making the final call.
I do want to, I always cautious in saying AI. AI is is a buzzword that a lot of people use, but to me, it's machine learning because there has to be a human component to it. Because you always hear bad data in, you're going to get bad data out.
Yep.
So I think seeing the presentations this morning about what's happening is fantastic, but you also have to make sure you're putting that upfront effort so that the data that you're extracting out of it is going to be valuable information.
There was a brilliant quote from one of the finalists in the Bridge and Structures, and it was and actually it was called out this morning, and it was the bridge surveys in Kentucky. And the surveyor that was going out there, he was saying, I don't refer to it as artificial intelligence, I refer to it as actual intelligence, because it's based on hard data. And I loved that. It was a brilliant takeaway.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that that our industry likes to have fast follower advantage.
Yes.
I think we've seen, at this event, they're in that fast follower position if they adopt it today. And I think that should give confidence to anybody who sees these announcements, contemplating how they integrate it into their business. It's proven working and useful to our industry. So I think it's opened the door. We've seen these inspirational examples. I'll close on one last thought for all of you with the little bit of time that we have left. And I just want to think about it from a global perspective. What's happening in energy has a global impact. Every country is at their own stage of their energy transition, whether they're reducing carbon, eliminating carbon, whether they're, in some cases, electrifying communities for the very first time.
Right.